Coco Gauff, Carlos Alcaraz moving on at Cincinnati Open. Coco Gauff yearns to be on Love Island, a reality TV show where apparently people fall in love. Over and over. I am not the target demographic, and unlike the Cincinnati Open's #2 seed, Gauff has started online Love Island chat groups and an X threads. Until now. After methodically knocking out Sin Wong of China 6-3, 6-2 August 10th, Gauff had a happy smile and an enthusiasm about both her tennis and Love Island. She's pleased with both. Following Gauff on the PNG Center court was the men's #2 seed, Carlos Alcaraz. The Spaniard looked in need of an island, but not a loving one, after he struggled with 33-year-old Bosnian veteran Damir Jumhur. While Gauff was chirping away in press, Jumhur was taking the second set from Alcaraz, who did finally win 6-1, 2-6, 6-3. Alcaraz finally got the service break he needed in the 8th game of the final set with the help of unnecessary drop shots from Jumhur. Alcaraz gave himself one match point with an ace, and it was all he needed. The Spaniard, who leads the ATP Tour with 49 wins, made a good show of looking happy while he shook hands and spoke to the crowd, but his head was handing when he walked off. Jumhur is just happy to be playing. During the 2022 French Open, he experienced stomach pains severe enough to put him in a Paris hospital for a month with pancreatitis. His stay included 6 days in intensive care. He spent his 30th birthday in that hospital and finally convinced reluctant French doctors, who were fearful of his travel, to let him go home to a hospital in Belgrade. I was young and healthy, and after I lost my first round qualifying, I didn't know if I would make out alive, he said. Jumhur said doctors could never figure out how he got the illness that usually affects those already sick or who are drinkers. Gauff was skipping and cheerily swinging her racket as she walked off the court in her pre-tournament press conference. Gauff said this time of year needs some special energy. It feels like you're playing the race car game, Gauff said, and you have the little nitro button to push. That's what it feels like. You just want to give it your all for this time of year. Not only because I'm an American playing in the biggest spot for our sport in the country, but I think the final slam of the year is a big moment. We have the Asian swing after, but everyone's attention is on the US Open. It feels like pushing that nitro button and leaving it all out there. Gauff clearly plays many games unfamiliar to those of us out of our, 30s, because that nitro button seems not to be near me. Back to Love Island, by the way. Gauff said she hosted 2 chat groups about the show this summer and was on an X thread too. But I had to get away from that, she said. I need all my focus on tennis now. Alcaraz seemed to be missing that nitro button as well as an addiction to Love Island. He especially could have used some superpower in that horrendous second set. He righted himself in the 4th game of the final set with a service break that came courtesy of a long forehand by Zummer. But for much of that second set it seemed Alcaraz was searching, if not for Love Island, at least for a tennis ball he could keep in the court. He made an uncharacteristic 44 unforced errors in the match, a statistic that won't work in his favor in New York. I lost my rhythm in the second set, Alcaraz said. And he played better too. But I lost my faith for 2 or 3 points and then gave away some free points, and he was ready for that. Alcaraz is also a TV fan, though his tastes run more towards soccer than Love Island. There is a Spanish version of Love Island that he doesn't want to watch, and really could care less about. But when told that Gauff is addicted to the show, Alcaraz laughed and said, I can see Coco loving it. For sure. So these 2 second-ranked players seem unlikely to pair up on that reality show. Gauff is enjoying the heat and the fast courts here. She was particularly pleased with her service return, something she once considered a weakness and now considers a strength. Returning was one of the weaker parts of my game when I first started, knowing when to go for first strike. Knowing situations 2, 30, all maybe not go for it. I'm learning. Up next for Gauff is 25-year-old Diana Yastremska of Ukraine, who stunned Gauff at Wimbledon and gave the American an unexpected first-round loss. This match, for me, will be a good measure of where my game is now, Gauff said. That was a tough loss for me, but I always have trouble against her. When she plays me, she seems to pull winners out of everywhere. Yastremska beat Gauff 7-6, 3. 6-1 at Wimbledon, and in the second set Gauff almost seemed to give up. She wasn't close to reaching many shots and could find no response to the way Yastremska kept Gauff moving back and forth and from baseline to net and around and around. But Gauff seems pretty zen about getting another chance against Yastremska. Alcaraz gets a surprise opponent next in Serbia's Hamad Medjedovic, who upset number 26 seed Talon Griekspoor of the Netherlands 6-4, 7-6, 3. For Coco Gauff, Cincinnati wasn't just another tournament. It was a home country stop, a place where the cheers didn't just sound loud, they felt personal. The energy hit her as soon as she walked out onto the court, racket in hand, the air tingling with anticipation. Her opponent was no pushover, a crafty shotmaker with a knack for redirecting pace and forcing errors. And from a very first point, Coco felt the resistance. The rallies were long, drawn-out battles, each stroke a question, each reply a challenge. Midway through the first set, she found herself chasing the scoreline, down a break. But this wasn't unfamiliar territory. Coco's season had been a masterclass in adaptability. She'd learned to solve puzzles in real time, to use every inch of the court as a canvas. She leaned on her athleticism, stretching into impossible retrievals, bending her knees deep for backhand slices that skidded low. The shift came at 3-4 when she clawed back breakpoint with a stinging cross-court forehand that painted the line. The crowd erupted, and the match began to turn. By the second set, she was in full flow, serve clicking, forehand ripping, anticipation razor-sharp. A 6-4, 6-3 victory put her into the next round, but her grin in the post-match interview said it all. "This one felt good," she told the cameras, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "Every win here feels like home." Carlos Alcaraz and the art of controlled chaos. If Coco's win was a story of steady adjustment, Carlos Alcaraz's match was pure adrenaline from start to finish. The reigning Wimbledon champion had been drawing comparisons to tennis legends all season, but in Cincinnati, he was writing his own script, equal parts daring and discipline. His opponent came out swinging, unafraid to trade heavy blows from the baseline. For the first few games, it was a shootout, each player grinning after outrageous rallies as if daring the other to blink first. But Carlos thrived in chaos. His footwork was a blur, covering the court with the speed of a sprinter and the balance of a gymnast. One moment, he was launching a forehand that cracked like a thunderclap. The next, he was feathering a drop shot so delicate it seemed to float. The crowd gasped when, at 30-30 in the second set, he chased down a lob and whipped a no-look passing shot down the line. His opponent froze, then laughed in disbelief. Even Carlos smirked. "Yes, I meant to do that."